my friend and your friend, Matthew Spendley. Matt Spendley, it's always good to see you. What do you have for us?
Pleasure. Thank you guys for joining us today. I think someone's a little confused because someone in the comments is asking, has Pete Alonso got any offers yet? If so, how much? So, Ian, you got any insight on Pete?
Look, man, the Mets have to bring him back. That's all I know.
All right. You're on the record. Chris, I want to start with you with this one. David Katz from YouTube. Will Tibbs ever agree to bringing McBride and putting Bridges or Hart on the bench? It seems their best lineups have just 2 or 3 Wingy Hut juniors with McBride on point of attack. So we know the Knicks starters have played more minutes than any other lineup in the NBA this year. 6.3 net rating. I know it's a small-ish sample size. And with McBride in for Mikal, that net rating's been really strong. Again, that's 40, 45 minutes of lineup data. But what are your thoughts on the lineups specifically that the Knicks have used beyond the starting unit?
I think that there are 2 separate questions there. Will they? I can't imagine that they will. Ian alluded to how many picks were spent on Mikal Bridges, and the idea that you could be asking him to, when his deal is up, after you spent that many picks on him, I imagine you're going to reach a deal with him and maybe hope that because of the nature of his relationship with Jalen and Josh, that he's going to give you a sweetheart deal of sorts too. The likelihood of wanting him to do that when also asking him to come off the bench is really low. And that's just the truth of the matter. Should it be an option? I think teams should always be open to the option of when you've got player X and the team performing better when player X is playing in place of player Y. They should be open to that. I think it actually gets right to the heart of what I was saying before about the idea that it's not natural for Mikal Bridges to have to guard 25 screen and rolls a game and then also be asking him to do more on offense when he's trying to find his offensive role on this team. That's a pretty big thing. And, lo and behold, for Deuce McBride, that is natural for him to do that. That's what he's always been asked to do, sometimes alongside Jalen Brunson, by the way, to guard the top of, the whatever's happening at the ball, the point of attack, to ask him to navigate screens. That's natural for him to do. That's natural for him to do with this group, with these guys behind him. So that makes sense that group plays better when he's there as opposed to Mikal, who's still kind of learning the ropes a little bit with this group. But again, I don't see it as likely. I don't see it as even really feasible unless something drastic were to shift, unless Mikal were to start slumping terribly. And he kind of had that for a while offensively already. So I just don't think that there's going to be a rush to do that. I think that would kind of sound a 5-alarm fire. And I don't think the Knicks are going to do that given where they're at with Mikal and how new he is to this team.
And he's bounced back offensively, as you mentioned. I know, it's been a little up and down. Anthony, I want to ask you, because you're out in the Knicks Twitter streets with all of us every single day. It feels like every game with this team, given that they've kind of went all in with the Cat trade, with the Mikal acquisition, is almost an indictment on all of these, of the situations of the team, of where they're at. So I'm just curious, like a general temperature check and how you feel on a game-to-game basis when you're watching the team.
It's funny, man. Every game, and I love the passion of Knicks fans because I'm a passionate Knicks fan. But every game, here's the thing: when we beat the Raptors on Monday night, to me that was a nice win. And remember, I'm Mr. Positive here. Some fans were acting like we won the championship when we beat the Raptors the other night, and I'm like, okay, that's a little much. And then we lose last night, not a good loss at all. And some fans are acting like it was our 50th loss in a row. I wish people would just find a happy medium. So, like, for example, like last night, some people were hitting me like, oh, Ant, you're not even mad about the loss. No, I'm mad about the loss, but I'm also not going to be like, trade the whole team either. So for me, like, I'm feeling pretty good. Like I said, didn't love the loss last night. Hated the loss on Saturday. But I wish some fans would just have a happy medium, even though the passion is incredible. When you beat an average team or a below average team by 2 points, that doesn't mean we're winning the championship. But if we lose a bad game on a Wednesday night to the Hawks, that doesn't mean we're going to be a 12 seed either. Come on, everybody. Try your best to find a happy medium. You feel me on that?
Life advice.
Couldn't have said it better.
Good life
Couldn't have said it better. I mean, I also thought last night, too. I mean, just that Atlanta's length and their wings also were – I said a lot about them. I've been impressed with them, and I think, we'll see.
Yeah, the Hawks haven't played bad this year. They're a couple, 3-4 games over 500. They've been a decent basketball team. And it's the second time they beat us.
Absolutely. Ian, come to you with the next one. I'm just curious, the Cat comments yesterday when he was talking about, how Miami with LeBron, it took them a whole year to figure it out. I'm curious from your perspective how you feel about that. And now that we're 25 games into the season, I know I had kind of said going into the year with the Knicks, from the outside, just kind of being a fan, let's give it 20, 25 games and ask me where they're at. Well, we're there. So for your perspective, being around the team every day, how do you feel about Cat's comment and where the team is at right now?
I mean, look, they're still searching, right? I think offensive hierarchy is something that, as good as the offense has been, still really hasn't been established. Last year it was Jalen Brunson, and he would get first action, and then you look for him again, and he would create, whether it was a shot or a pass to a teammate. It's different this year, and I think that hierarchy should be established at some point. Hasn't been yet, but I think that if they are healthy, going into the postseason, OG Anunoby said it best. If you figure it out even on April 5th, as long as you figured it out going into the playoffs, there's enough talent on this team to play with anybody in the Eastern Conference over a 7-game series. So, yeah, I do think there's reason to be concerned about the consistency level at this point. But no matter when you find it, as long as you find it, I think that's what matters. And talking about the nightly referendum, I don't think that started with this team, man. I remember the Karl-Anthony early days.
Oh, that's going on forever.
Oh, yeah.
Man.
The overreactions both ways.
Yeah. Lou Amundsen, maybe? Yeah,
Trey Burke was the next great Knicks point guard. We can't forget about these moments, guys.
I remember when we drafted Karl-Anthony early, they said he was the steal of the draft. So it's always here or this.
Yeah, so many guys over the years. The mid to late 2010s Knicks, just incredible stuff. All right, last question. I want to pose it to you, Chris, because I know we've talked obviously a lot about Mikal Bridges, and he'll always be a topic. But you brought up his defense earlier. I hadn't heard that stat that he's been the most attacked pick and roll defensive player, and I find that interesting because you mentioned he's someone that had a reputation as being a strong defender, and I think everyone could kind of see he's not at that level. So, in your opinion, watching the film and watching the team play, do you think this is something that this is just how he is now and it's not going to improve? Or do you think that maybe it's a new situation? I'm just curious with his defense, do you think it will improve?
Well, I think it can. First of all, it's so early with such a different situation. I mean, I know he just moved across town, but it's a different sort of team that operates differently, that's asking him to do different things. And by the way, I think a lot of us, myself included, often think of, man, now you get to be a third, maybe even fourth option offensively. That's easier. And in theory, it is, right? But think about some of the stuff that Josh Hart has said in the past of, I need to touch the ball a certain number of times. Otherwise, I feel pressure that I'm only going to get 1 or 2 shots. And if I miss that 1 or 2 shots, it feels like the weight of the world is on my shoulders when I do actually get the ball. So Mikal Bridges was asked to be a number 1, number 2 option in Brooklyn, for a team that was going nowhere fast. That's very different than being under the pressure of playing in the Garden, having people dissect your shot so much in the preseason when you kind of have a struggling preseason, to where in the first half of the game, people are like, oh, God, what have we done against the Celtics because Mikal has a bad half. So it's just a different level of pressure. Absolutely, he can get better as he adjusts to that, as he adjusts to the noise, as he adjusts to his teammates, as he gets used to the positioning of guys, as he gets used to what he's being asked to do, which, as you pointed out, is fundamentally different. Mikal was not a Defensive Player of the Year candidate because of his point of attack defense. He was a Defensive Player of the Year candidate because he was a great help defender, a great team defender, a great one-on-one defender that could go up against the best player that any team had. And frankly, that spot has kind of been a little bit more reserved for Anunoby. And so that's why, again, when we talk about that question that you posed of, is it better, should the Knicks be looking at Deuce McBride a little bit more to plug him into the starting lineup? Again, I don't think it's anywhere near realistic right now, but I do think that the role that Deuce would be taking from Mikal would be more natural for Mikal if he could maybe guard, the top option on the wing as opposed to it being the ball handler all the time. That's a big shift, and it kind of allows him more rest as well to just not have to guard a Trae Young for possessions after possession after possession. That's a tough task. It's not to say that he can't do it, but it's tough to do that. And also, why isn't he going to the basket? He might be tired. Like, it's not. I'm not trying to give the guy outs and excuses, but I think he can naturally get better just because he's being asked to do a lot of different things from what he's been asked to do in the past, at least over the last year or two. And so I think it's just an adjustment. He will get better with that, but will it be enough to where the Knicks can look back and say this was worth 5-6 picks? I don't know about that, and I don't know in this current role really how much better he's going to get, because he has shot well. He shot much better in recent weeks. He shot well from mid-range. It's just a different version of a player than we thought that the Knicks were going to be getting, I think.
For sure. And like we said, so much of the season left. That's what I got to say for you guys. I know, Ian, if you wanted Pete Alonso back with the Mets, I know he's about to tune into Juan Soto's introductory press conference on SNY in about an hour, right, Ian? You're locked into that?
Must see TV. Digital.
Chris, Anthony, are you guys baseball fans? Are you guys Yankees, Mets?
I'm a Yankees fan, Bronx boy here, so.
Ooh.
I'm kind of, I have my White Sox hat over here. I'm from Chicago, so I'm kind of ashamed to admit it.
Chris. I don't know about that.
I just claim Michigan football, really. Ian knows that more than anything, and I let that overshadow everything else. But
you got a World Series in 2005, though. It's pretty cool.
That was fun. It was a long time ago. It was fun. Very fun.
All right,
Thanks,
that's
Tom.
all I got, fellas. Thank you for joining, Ian.